Cole Harrison had always believed that the desert had a quiet memory of its own. Every time he returned to the small town lying between the red-brown cliffs of Arizona, the wind felt familiar, like it carried stories he had forgotten. After many years of traveling from ranch to ranch, working long cattle seasons, and sleeping under open skies, he finally decided to stop in this old town again. Maybe he was looking for rest. Maybe he was searching for something he couldn't name. He walked into the trading post on a warm afternoon. The wooden door creaked softly behind him, and the scent of leather, dried sage, and dusty shelves filled the place. Cole kept his hat low, shading his eyes from the bright sunlight outside. He wasn't expecting anyone to notice him. He wasn't the kind of man who drew attention. His life had been simple: work, travel, eat, sleep, repeat. But the moment he stepped toward the counter, his whole world shifted. Because someone was already standing there. Someone who seemed to be waiting for him. A young Apache woman stood near the shelves of pottery and woven blankets. She had long black hair, tied loosely behind her shoulders, and a calm strength in the way she held herself. Her dark eyes lifted toward him, and there was something so familiar in them that Cole felt his heart pause. He stared, confused, trying to place her face in his memory. She took a step closer. Her voice was soft but steady, as if she had rehearsed the words many times. "Do you remember me, cowboy?" Cole almost dropped the small bag of flour he had been reaching for. He straightened, cleared his throat, and tried to answer, but the words tangled inside him. He remembered meeting many people during his travels: farmers, ranch owners, travelers, townsfolk. But something in her eyes made him feel like this wasn't just another memory. This was something he should have held on to. He removed his hat slowly, a gesture of respect. I feel like I should," he admitted honestly. "Have we met here before?" The young woman tilted her head gently. A sad, almost disappointed breath escaped her. "Not here," she said. "But you did meet me. Years ago. Near the Canyon River. You helped my brother." That sentence unlocked a door in Cole's mind. Images rushed back: dry heat, the sound of running water, and a young boy who had collapsed near the riverbed. Cole had given the boy water, helped him rest, and waited with him until his family came searching. And among the family who arrived was a girl. This girl, though younger than she was now. Cole felt the memory grow clearer. "Yes, I remember now," he said slowly. "You were there. You thanked me. You brought me food later that night." Nayeli nodded softly. "My name is Nayeli," she said. "I remembered your name too. Cole Harrison." The way she spoke, it calm, steady, and sure, made Cole realize that this moment meant far more to her than he had understood. He felt a strange pressure in his chest, like he owed her more than simple politeness. He tried to gather his thoughts. But Nayeli stepped a little closer. Her eyes filled with a mix of hope and quiet hurt. "You promised something," she said gently. Cole stood still. "Promised?" Her voice lowered, barely above a whisper. "You said you would come back. You said you wanted a future with me. A family one day." She took a soft breath. "You said we could have a child together." Cole felt the world tilt. He swallowed hard, memory stirring again. This time deeper. He remembered sitting near a small fire, under the star-bright sky. Nayeli had brought food to thank him, and they had talked for hours about dreams, fears, and futures. They had been young, both lonely in different ways. Cole had spoken freely that night, more freely than he normally allowed himself. He had told her she was kind, brave, and unlike anyone he had ever met. He remembered feeling something gentle and warm, something peaceful. But a promise? Had he really said those words? He remembered saying he wanted to return. He remembered saying someday he wanted to settle down and have a family. But had he clearly promised her? Had he spoken so firmly that she held on to those words For years? Cole rubbed the back of his neck, feeling overwhelmed. I didn't have much direction, and life took me far from here. Nayeli didn't look angry. She didn't raise her voice or show frustration. Instead, she looked heartbroken but in a quiet, dignified way that made Cole feel even more guilty. I know, she said, her tone calm. But I waited, because you spoke with truth that night. At least, that's what I believed. Cole felt lost. He wanted to look away, but he couldn't. The shopkeeper, sensing the personal nature of the conversation, politely stepped into the back room, giving them privacy. The trading post grew silent, except for the soft rustle of the wind outside. Cole shifted his weight awkwardly. Nayeli, I didn't forget everything. I remember how kind you were. I remember how I felt that night. But life changes, she finished for him, nodding slowly. I understand that. I didn't come here to trap you or to force anything. Her expression softened. I came because I needed to know if you meant it, or if it was only a moment of comfort during a hard time. Cole opened his mouth but found it hard to speak. Her honesty shook him. There was nothing dramatic in her voice. No anger, only sincerity. And sincerity was harder to face than blame. She continued gently. My family wants me to choose a husband. They think it is time, but I could not make that choice without asking you first. Without giving you a chance to remember. Cole felt his heartbeat grow heavier, slower. He had expected a simple stop at the trading post, maybe a meal at the old diner afterward. Instead, he was staring at a past version of himself, one who had spoken from his heart without thinking of consequences. He studied her face, graceful, patient, strong. She had grown into a beautiful woman, with a peaceful confidence that made him feel young and unsure again. He remembered her kindness, the way she had sat beside him without judgment, the quiet connection they had formed. He realized now that to her, those moments had meant something real. He took a deep breath. Nayeli, I don't want to hurt you, he said softly. I never wanted that. If I made you believe something I couldn't fulfill, I am sorry. Her eyes softened even more, though sorrow remained in them. I'm not here for apology alone, she replied gently. I came because I still see goodness in you. I came because the promise mattered to me. Because you mattered. She paused. I just need to know if you want to walk away, or if you want to walk with me. Her words settled in the air like a soft echo. Cole looked at her not just as someone from his past, but as someone standing right before him, offering honesty and hope. He felt the weight of choice settle on his shoulders. He didn't know what the future held, but one thing was clear. He owed her sincerity now. He sighed slowly, placing his hat against his chest. Nayeli, I don't know the answer yet, but I'm not leaving without trying to understand. I want to remember everything clearly. I want to know what we meant to each other. A small, grateful smile appeared on her lips, a smile filled with relief and quiet strength. Cole nodded. And in that simple moment, beneath the warm desert sunlight streaming through the dusty windows, two lives that once crossed by fate were connected again, this time with clearer eyes and a chance to rediscover what was left unfinished. Nayeli walked ahead of Cole as they stepped outside the trading post, and for a moment, the desert wind played gently with the loose strands of her hair. The sky above was wide and endless, painted in soft shades of afternoon gold. Cole followed slowly, still trying to understand how a simple stop in town had turned into a meeting with someone who remembered him so deeply. Nayeli stopped near a small bench outside the post and looked at him with calm curiosity, as if she were waiting for him to settle his thoughts. Cole sat down first, and she lowered herself onto the bench beside him, keeping a comfortable distance but close enough that he could feel her presence. There was something peaceful about her, something grounding, and it made him want to listen. She took a gentle breath. Maybe it will help if I tell you my story, she said. Not the whole story of my life, But the part where you were in it. Cole nodded quietly. He wanted to understand. More than that, he wanted to honor the sincerity she had shown him. Nayeli looked out toward the desert horizon as she began. When you came to the Canyon River years ago, we were going through a very difficult season. The heat was strong, and the river wasn't as full as it usually was. My family was traveling between our summer grounds and the trading routes. My little brother, Keone, liked to run ahead. He liked to explore everything. Her expression warmed, touched with fondness. That day, he ran too far. He grew tired and fainted near the rocks. My mother couldn't find him, and everyone began searching. I was the one who finally saw. A stranger saw you, kneeling beside him. Cole listened closely, remembering the picture in his mind. The boy lying in the shade, his small hands dusty, his breath weak from exhaustion. Cole had been on his way to the next ranch job and had stopped when he noticed something near the riverbed. He remembered lifting the boy's head gently and giving him water. Nayeli continued, "When I reached you, I was frightened. Not frightened of you. Frightened for him. But you were calm. You told me he was going to be all right. You sat with him until he opened his eyes again. And when my family arrived, you were still there." Cole lowered his eyes, unsure how to respond. "I guess I just did what anyone would have done," he said quietly. Nayeli shook her head softly. "No. Many people passed our paths that season. Not everyone stopped. Not everyone cared." She paused for a moment. Nye. 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 She paused for a moment. "But you did. And that was the moment I first felt grateful to you." Cole felt a gentle kind of embarrassment. He never thought of his act as something important, but hearing it from her gave it weight. He watched as Nayeli folded her hands on her lap, her voice steady and warm. "Later that evening," she said, "I brought food from our camp to thank you. My mother prepared it. She told me to be careful, but she also said I should show kindness to people who show kindness to us." Cole remembered the meal clearly. Simple bread and cooked beans, a small bowl of berries, and water from a clay jug. It had tasted like home, even though it came from strangers. Nayeli smiled softly at the memory. "I stayed longer than I planned. You were sitting near the river watching the sun set. I thought I would give you the food and leave quickly. But you asked me to sit." Cole nodded slowly. "That sounds like me," he murmured, almost shy. "You were very different from the people who traveled through our lands," she said. "Many were in a hurry, or tired, or worried, but you were gentle. You spoke slowly, and you listened. I remember how bright the stars were that night." As she spoke, Cole felt something warm stir inside him, fragments of that night returning. The peaceful quiet, the soft glow of the moon on the river, her young laughter, the shy hope in her eyes. He remembered feeling safe with her, even though they had hardly known each other. "You told me about your dreams," she continued, turning toward him again. "You said you wanted a life where you didn't have to keep traveling all the time. You said you wanted land to call your own, a place where you could build something real. And. Cole exhaled slowly, almost surprised by how honest he must have been. "I did say that," he admitted. "I still want that." She nodded thoughtfully. "You spoke about wanting a family," she added gently. "Not soon. Not right away. But someday." Her eyes lowered, not accusing, but remembering. "And you said that if you ever found someone you cared for deeply, you would want a child with them. You said having a child would mean you finally had a home." Cole swallowed hard. That sounded like him too, speaking more freely when sitting under stars, when his heart felt open, when loneliness made him imagine a better future. "You looked at me," Nayeli said in a quieter voice. As if you saw something good. You said I had a brave heart. She smiled faintly. Nayeli. 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 I didn't hear things like that often. I carried those words for a long time. Cole's chest tightened. He had never meant to leave such a lasting mark on someone's heart. Yet here she was carrying memories he barely held onto. I was younger then, she said softly. But even so, I felt a connection to you. Not something sudden. Something gentle. Something that felt natural. I didn't know what it meant at the time, but I knew I wanted to see you again. She looked at him directly now, her gaze deep but kind. When you left the next morning, you said you would come back. Maybe you didn't mean it as a promise, but I heard it like one. I waited in that place many times, hoping you would return. Cole felt the weight of that truth settle heavily on his shoulders. Nayeli, I never meant to make you wait like that, he said quietly. I know, she said. Life takes people in different directions. I understand that. Her tone held no anger, only grace. But while you were gone, my life changed, too. She looked out at the desert again, the wind brushing her hair gently. My tribe began expecting more from me. I learned many skills. I helped with the younger children. I became someone they relied on. My parents began to speak of marriage, gently at first. They said I should think of my future. Cole felt something twist inside him, not fear, not jealousy, but a quiet awareness that he had stepped into a life he didn't know he had touched. She continued. But I kept remembering you. Not because of a promise alone. That's plain, one of the Rosably, but I kept remembering you, but because of how you made me feel. Peaceful. Respected. Seen. Her voice softened. You didn't treat me like someone who needed saving. You treated me like someone equal. Cole didn't know what to say. He had never realized how deeply his simple kindness had affected her. It made him feel both humbled and unworthy. When my family finally insisted that I choose someone, she said carefully, I felt my heart pull in two directions. I could choose a path they expected, or I could look for the person who once looked at me like I mattered. She paused. So, I came here. Sue. 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 And you found me, Cole said quietly. Yes, she answered. I found you. Older, different, but still you. She turned her hands slowly, as if gathering courage. I didn't come to claim you. I came to understand you. To see if the man I remembered was still here. To know if that promise, spoken or not, was still alive. Cole felt something warm settle inside him. Her honesty was like a soft light touching a long-closed room inside his heart. Nayeli, he said slowly. I didn't know anyone ever thought of me that way. I didn't know I mattered like that. She smiled gently. Sometimes we matter to people without knowing. They sat in silence for a moment, letting the warm air move around them. The desert felt different now, full of possibility instead of emptiness. Nayeli looked at him with calm hope. Now you know my story, she said softly. Now you know why I came. Whatever happens next, I only want truth. Cole nodded slowly. Then truth is what I'll give you, he said. And as the sun dipped toward the horizon, casting soft orange light over the dusty town, he realized something important. He wasn't just remembering the past. He was beginning to understand the meaning of it. Cole walked beside Nayeli as they left the small town behind. The sun lowered slowly, casting long shadows across the quiet road that led toward the open desert. Even though neither of them spoke for a while, the silence felt gentle instead of heavy. Cole kept his hat low and his hands in his pockets, thinking deeply about everything he had learned. He had never imagined someone would hold on to his words for so long. He had never imagined those words would mean something real to someone else. After a few minutes, Nayeli glanced at him and spoke softly. You look lost in your thoughts. Cole let out a small breath and smiled weakly. That's because I am, he admitted. I'm trying to understand myself. And you. And everything I left behind, without knowing. Nayeli slowed her steps, allowing the breeze to brush past them. You don't have to rush your feelings, she said. I only want you to be honest with yourself. Cole nodded. Honesty. It sounded simple, yet it wasn't. For many years, he had learned to keep his heart quiet. Life on the move taught him not to get attached, not to build hopes, not to imagine a future that could easily slip away. When he was young, dreams came easily. But as he grew older, reality shaped him differently. The world became about working hard, paying debts, and surviving one season at a time. He rubbed the back of his neck. Nayeli, a part of me wishes I had returned sooner. Another part is afraid of what that would have meant. She watched him calmly. What are you afraid of? She asked, her tone soft, not pushing, just inviting. Cole hesitated before answering. I'm afraid I wouldn't have been enough. I didn't have land, or savings, or a home. I didn't even know where I truly belonged. He gave a small, uneasy smile. What kind of future could I offer anyone back then? Nayeli listened with deep patience. You think a future is only made from things you own? She asked gently. Cole shrugged. That's what life taught me. You need something steady to build something steady. She shook her head lightly. A steady heart can be more important than steady land. Those words touched him deeply, more than he expected. He stared ahead, watching the path curve slightly toward the desert brush. Maybe I didn't know how to have a steady heart either, he said quietly. Nayeli's expression softened. Most people don't learn that until later in life, she replied. We learn through mistakes, through seasons, through people who help us understand ourselves. Cole felt something shift inside him, a gentle understanding that he had spent years running toward work and away from emotions. He looked at Nayeli. Did you ever think I just forgot you? He asked. We haven't you lime. Also he had Naiko. She held his gaze for a moment, then answered truthfully. Sometimes. Especially during the first year. I waited many times near the river. Each season I thought, maybe you would return. But the world is wide, and journeys change people. I knew that too. You waited for me, Cole said softly, his voice almost a whisper. I waited, she replied. But I didn't stop living. I helped my family. I learned many things. I grew. But your memory stayed. Not because I could not move forward, but because it felt unfinished. Cole appreciated her honesty more than he could express. He had imagined she might resent him, or feel abandoned. But instead, she understood something even he had not understood about himself. They continued walking as the evening grew cooler. Birds flew across the sky in small groups, heading toward their nests. The desert smelled of warm sand and sage. For the first time in a long while, Cole felt strangely calm, as if sharing the truth had lifted part of his burden. When they reached a spot where the path widened, Nayeli stopped. Cole lowered himself onto a smooth rock, and Nayeli sat beside him, her hands folded gracefully. After a moment, she spoke again. You want to understand what we meant to each other, she said. Maybe it is time you also understand what you meant to me. Cole turned slightly toward her. Her eyes held a quiet glow in the fading light. When we first met, she said, I was uncertain about myself. I was young, and I wondered if I would ever find someone who truly saw me. Not just as someone from my tribe, not just as someone who did chores or followed traditions, but as a person with dreams and feelings. She brushed a small strand of hair behind her ear. That night, we talked by the river. You listened to me as if my words mattered. You spoke to me as if I had a future bigger than the one others imagined for me. That made me feel strong. Cole felt his chest grow warm. I didn't know I gave you that, he said softly. You did, Nayeli replied. You also shared your hopes. You told me things you hid from others. That is why I believed you. You were sincere. You weren't giving me pretty words. You were giving me your heart at that moment, even if you didn't realize it. Cole lowered his face into his hands for a moment, overwhelmed. And then, I left, without understanding what I had created between us. Nayeli placed her hands on her knees, her voice calm. Sometimes, people create connections without knowing. You were honest. And honesty can create bonds more than promises. Cole looked at her with gratitude and guilt mixed together. I feel like I hurt you, he said quietly. You didn't intend to, she said. That is why it did not break me. It only made me stronger. It made me patient. It made me think about what I truly wanted. She glanced at him again. And what I wanted was to know if the connection we shared still lived inside you. That is why I came. We won. 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 Cole sighed deeply. I don't know what lives inside me. I've been alone so long that I'm not sure what to feel. Nayeli smiled gently. Then this journey is not only for me, it is for you too. Her words wrapped around him like warm cloth. He felt seen in a way he hadn't felt in years. They began walking again, slowly making their way toward her village. The path grew dimmer, as the sky deepened into shades of blue and soft purple. Cole noticed the way Nayeli walked, steady, confident, graceful. She wasn't the young girl he once knew. She was a woman now, strong and sure of herself. As they moved through the quiet desert, Cole began speaking again, this time more openly. My life was full of moving, he said. From one ranch to another. I worked hard, but I never stayed long enough to feel like I belonged anywhere. Maybe I kept moving because staying felt too heavy. Why heavy? Nayeli asked gently. Because staying means caring. He answered truthfully. And caring means you can lose something. Nayeli thought about that. You think caring is a risk, she observed. Cole nodded slowly. Maybe the biggest one. Nayeli smiled gently. And yet, caring is what brings people meaning. It is what makes memories soft instead of lonely. Even if the future is uncertain, the feeling itself is worth something. Her words touched him again. He felt a warmth he had not felt in years. A warmth that came from being understood. As they walked, the first stars appeared above them. The air carried a cool hint of night. Cole felt peaceful, yet nervous. He could feel something growing inside him, something he had pushed away for years. The desire to belong, to be known, to be connected to someone. They were nearing the edges of her village when Cole stopped walking. Nayeli turned around slowly. Something wrong? She asked softly. Cole shook his head, though his heart beat fast. Not wrong, just important. She waited patiently. He took a breath. Nayeli, I don't know what I can promise right now. I don't know what the future holds. But I do know this. I want to try. I want to understand what you saw in me. I want to understand what we could be. Nayeli's eyes softened, her expression full of quiet relief. That is all I hoped for, she whispered. They stood in the peaceful glow of starlight. And for the first time, Cole felt the beginning of something steady inside him. Not fear, not doubt, but a gentle willingness to step into a future that might finally feel like home. Cole and Nayeli walked the last stretch toward her village under a sky sprinkled with stars. The air grew cooler as evening settled fully, and the desert around them softened into quiet shadows. In the distance, Cole could see small, warm lights glowing from the village huts, flickering like gentle fireflies. The sight made him slow his steps. He wasn't scared, but he felt the weight of what waited ahead. Questions. expectations, and answers he wasn't completely ready for. Nayeli noticed his slower pace and turned to him with a reassuring smile. "You don't have to be afraid," she said softly. Cole shook his head. "I'm not afraid," he answered honestly. "But I feel the importance of this. Meeting your family, facing what I said, figuring out what I can offer." Nayeli walked closer, her presence calm and steady. "My family does not want perfection," she said gently. "They want truth. They want kindness. They want to know your heart." Cole let that sink in. He wasn't a wealthy man. He didn't have land, or a big house, or fine things. But kindness, truth, those he could offer. As they entered the village, the warm glow of small lanterns greeted them. People moved quietly between the huts, finishing evening tasks and settling down for the night. When a few villagers noticed Nayeli returning with someone beside her, they paused curiously, whispering softly among themselves. Nayeli greeted them with a polite nod. "This is Cole," she said simply. Some looked surprised, others thoughtful, but no one looked unkind. Cole felt a bit nervous under their attention, but Nayeli's calm presence kept him steady. She guided him toward a larger hut near the center of the village. "My parents are inside," she said. "They have been waiting for me." Cole took a slow breath. "Ready as I'll ever be." Nayeli smiled. "Good. They will see your sincerity." They entered the hut, where a small fire burned gently in the middle, giving the room a warm glow. Two older people sat beside it, a woman with soft eyes and long silver-streaked hair, and a man with strong shoulders and a wise, calm expression. These were Nayeli's parents. When Nayeli stepped inside, her mother rose with relief and embraced her. "You returned safely," she said lovingly. "Yes, mother," Nayeli replied. "And I brought someone with me." Her parents turned their eyes toward Cole. For a brief moment, Cole felt every year of wandering settle heavily on him. He removed his hat and bowed his head respectfully. "My name is Cole Harrison," he said, voice steady but humble. "Thank you for allowing me into your home." Nayeli's father studied him quietly for a moment, not judging, simply observing. Then he nodded toward a mat by the fire. "Sit," he said. "Let us talk." Cole sat carefully, unsure whether his hands should rest on his knees or together. Nayeli sat beside him, close enough to reassure him. Her mother sat across from them and spoke gently. "Our daughter told us she sought someone who once made her feel seen, someone who spoke to her with sincerity. We have waited to hear your truth. If one, Chrissy." Cole nodded slowly. "I understand." Her father leaned forward slightly. "Years ago, you shared words with our daughter, words she carried in her heart, words she believed came from honesty. Now, she brings you here, wanting to know if those words still hold meaning." Cole felt his heartbeat steady itself. He looked at Nayeli first, then at her parents. "I won't pretend I understood the weight of what I said back then," he began. "I was young, wandering, and dreaming of a better life. Your daughter was kind to me. She listened to me. She made me feel safe, something I rarely felt in those days." Nayeli's mother nodded gently. Cole continued. "When I spoke of wanting a future, a home, a family someday, I wasn't lying. But I didn't understand how deeply those words might touch someone. I didn't know they would matter to someone enough to remember for years." Her father's eyes softened, though he remained quiet. Cole placed his hat on the ground beside him. "I didn't come here to make excuses. I came because Nayeli deserved answers. And because I realized I want to understand what we shared. I want to know if that connection still lives inside me." He glanced at Nayeli. "And I believe it does." Her mother exchanged a quiet look with her husband, as if silently communicating. After a moment, the older woman spoke. Our daughter waited not because she was weak, but because she felt something true. She chose patience. She chose hope. Cole nodded. I see that now, and I respect it more than I can say. Her father finally spoke again, voice calm and thoughtful. If your heart is sincere, then we have no anger. But sincerity is only the beginning. What do you seek now, Cole Harrison? This was the question Cole feared and yet needed. He lifted his eyes. I seek understanding. I seek honesty. I seek a chance, not to undo the past, but to start fresh, slowly, truthfully. I cannot promise big things today, but I can promise my respect, my effort, and my time. Nayeli's mother smiled softly. A beginning is all that is needed. Her father nodded firmly. Then you are welcome to walk beside our daughter, if she chooses it. Cole turned toward Nayeli. Her eyes held warmth, deep, real, gentle. She reached for his hand lightly, not pulling, not claiming, simply offering. I choose it, she said softly. A calm relief washed over Cole, deeper than anything he had felt in years. After their talk, Nayeli's parents invited Cole to share a simple meal. They spoke of daily life, the land, the changing seasons, and the small joys of their community. Cole listened respectfully, learning their ways, appreciating their warmth. Later, as the stars brightened outside, Cole and Nayeli stepped out of the hut together. The village was quiet now. Children slept, families rested, and the night offered a peaceful stillness. Cole exhaled slowly. Your family, they're kind, more than I deserved. Nayeli shook her head softly. Kindness is not something you must earn. It is something given when someone's heart feels safe. Cole smiled at her, feeling a gentle warmth. I hope I can learn to offer the same. You already do, she whispered. They walked away from the hut, stopping near a small hill just outside the village. The stars above them sparkled like tiny lanterns. Cole looked out over the desert, then at Nayeli. I've spent years thinking I didn't belong anywhere, he said slowly. Always moving. Always searching. But tonight, something feels different. What feels different? She asked softly. You, he answered. Your presence, your patience, and this place. It feels like a beginning. Nayeli smiled, her eyes reflecting the moonlight. Then, let us begin gently. No rushing, no pressure. Just time, truth, and trust. Cole nodded. I can do that. They stood together, letting the desert wind carry the moment forward. It wasn't a grand declaration, nor a dramatic promise. It was something quieter and stronger, two people choosing to understand each other, to walk slowly side by side, learning and growing. Cole felt something shift inside him. Something warm and steady. For the first time in his life, the idea of a home did not feel distant or impossible. It felt within reach, soft, slow, and real. As they walked back toward the village lights, Nayeli reached out her hand. Cole took it gently, as if holding something precious. And in the quiet desert night, two hearts, that once met by chance, began a new journey this time. With open eyes, steady steps, and a hope that felt like true belonging.